When the turning is inward instead of being pulled away from yourself, what becomes immediately so clear is that the nature of all conflict, the nature of all injustice, the nature of all war, violence, is thought, belief. As soon as one belief is pitted against another belief, there is war. Every side in the war feels equally justified in the stance that they take. It is what is known as the dream of separation. You know, if one looks at their own life and the times that were of great challenge, for anyone who does the work, in retrospect, it becomes very clear that the times of challenge have offered the gift of where you sit right now. When one begins to become rooted in this, there is no lag time in this. You can feel the gift in what your mind cannot yet understand. One thing that is beyond doubt is that every player is tested. And every form of a test, no matter what the mind may speak of it, however the mind may interpret it, it is always a replay of some mental tendency to begin with that is replicating itself in your dream of time and space. The thing about it is, from your mind's perspective, the stakes have to get higher in order to have the potential to pull you in. The thing of it is, nothing new ever happens. The sense of well-being completely depends on how connected you remain with yourself. It has nothing to do with what it seems to have to do with. When you are pulled out of yourself into the experience of separation, you're going to suffer, and the mind is always going to have ample reasons why it makes sense in this situation to experience suffering. Suffering lies in the arena of free will. Free will is an indicator of your ripeness. Your ripeness is indicated by how easily you get swept away from yourself into the mind spheres. The deeper in you go, the more stable what is truly stable is revealed, and the more unstable what is truly unstable is also revealed. When the turning is inward instead of being pulled away from yourself, what becomes immediately so clear is that the nature of all conflict, the nature of all injustice, the nature of all war, violence, is thought, belief. As soon as one belief is pitted against another belief, there is war. Every side in the war feels equally justified in the stance that they take. It is what is known as the dream of separation. But the true question is, where are these thoughts and opinions arising from? When there is opening, it is so easy to say, "Thy will be done, let thy will be my pleasure." But then in the mind's eye, when there is a sense of threat, all of a sudden there is the falling back, not into something new. The mind will point to new events, but if you turn within, the internal reaction is always a repeat. From the mind's perspective, it is very understandable. There is so much fuel to have the potential to drive fear. But this has always been the case. It's just the veils are being lifted, and what has no inherent stability is revealing itself, while what is completely stable and untouched is also revealing itself. In staying with the basics and looking to find the chooser and discovering the only thing that can be discovered, that you cannot find it, that it is impossible to find the individual, that the individual appears only when you have fallen away from yourself by latching on to familiar, conditioned fears. But in truth, in the moment when there is the search for the individual, it cannot be found. So what does this mean? It means there is no such thing as Donald Trump. It is a creation of a dream. There is no such thing as a presidency. There is no such thing as anything. There is divine manifestation. The imagination is the imagination of separation, which arises when you have fallen away from yourself. When the taste of what unifies everything, which is always what is revealed in the moment, which is always revealing what is real and not imaginary. The discovery is the perfection that the mind is incapable of seeing, because the mind is not in it. It appears when you are pulled away from it. The mind cannot know. When the uncertainty is revealed to the mind, it will freak out. The mind quantifies and qualifies right and wrong, good and bad, evil and light. When there is the fortitude and the true hunger, what cannot be taken away, what cannot be altered, this remains as the only taste. The need to understand does not grow, it falls away. When things arise that hold the potential of great challenge to the mind, what is discovered is that the grace blossoms in a greater way. There is all kinds of testing that happens in your internal conviction, commitment, and strength. One does not have to look to the election, just the obvious nature of global warming. The sense of fragility has not been given birth on this day. Being swept into the mind storm feeds the insanity. Remaining rooted in yourself frees you from the war, the conflict, all suffering, and it enables the possibility of recognizing the grace of the work. All of the disturbance at this point are only thoughts. If you look for the thinker, you cannot find that one. It is all reflective. It is all a test. It is all grooming you for the possibility. You know, Ramana was alive during World War II. When things began heating up, there was an Indian politician, a political figure who had very deep spiritual passion, who was part of this coalition around attempting to spread spirituality into the political arena. And he came to Ramana and he said, I have great fear. What is it we can do in the West? They have lost touch with their roots. How is it that we can offer service? And his response was, just your very question is a reflection that you have lost service to yourself. He further went on to say there are no politicians. There is no threat. There is only the self. Ramakrishna went to visit a man in India who had great wealth, very deeply spiritually oriented, and would offer to be a benefactor for various sources out of his generosity. Ramakrishna went to this man and said, it is not to offer financial support to anything of the world. It will create strings that will pull you from yourself. The place where support is of true benefit are for those who are wholeheartedly in love with God. Otherwise, no matter how it may seem, it is offering nothing. This is a life that holds the great potential if one is going to receive the grace and carry this process through. It means freeing relationship with what is apparent. In other words, freeing relationship with conditioned mind. The nature of the wisdom is that it will offer up every possibility to bring the attention back into that which is experienced as separate. In this moment, in the habit of foregoing the mind's noise, there is no issue that can be found. Because all issue is mental contrivance. All mental contrivance is a repeat. It repeats itself out of this benevolence when you are ready to receive it. Eventually, when you are free enough, you can feel the benevolence that is offering the mind's idea of a problem. Let thy will be my pleasure. These were the utterances of Ramana. Because when it is all the way, it is always the byproduct. Whatever is thy will is received as my pleasure. Because pleasure is the natural state that lives eternally, free of particulars. If there is one foot in and one foot out, there is going to be suffering. If there is the hunger to have both feet in, the hand will be pushed out of this love, out of this possibility. The offering that has been given is an offering of humbling. We have talked about the beauty of humbling. Humbling lies in the recognition that there is no such thing as a true belief. That if you are going to be readied, there must be a willingness to let go of every belief. This does not mean becoming passive. Wherever there is the possibility of service, it is for that service to come forth. But when there is no possibility, it is about receiving the offer, being humbled, recognizing that the thoughts and emotions are not someone's, feeling into from where it comes, tasting the nectar that is free and not moving. There are these two levels to the offering of the reflection. One is the intimate offer, the sphere that surrounds you in your life. What surrounds you in your daily life is a reflection of where you are in this journey. The reflection of what is called the external world is the reflection of the mind. The more infused with the beauty you become, the more unstable and chaotic the mind is seen, because it is unstable and chaotic, until the moving into yourself is so full that the seeing is all the way. And what that seeing is, there is no mind. It appears when the attention is pulled away from yourself. There is no separation. It appears when you are pulled away from yourself. When you are not pulled from yourself in the face of the particular events that would have pulled you from yourself, what occurs is there is a much deeper taste of what is vulnerable to nothing. There is a recognition of something that was not there before, that remains completely and totally not only untouched, but while remaining connected where there would be the potential of being pulled away, there is this heightened aliveness to the joy. There is a heightened aliveness to the joy. There is a deeper and deeper recognition of that everything that seemed so important does not touch anything that is of true importance. And that everything that seems separate is the grace of the reflection revealing, when you are ready, simply that you are lost and tasting suffering. And when that habit is not followed, the deeper the external chaos may seem, the deeper and more profound the joy and the love and the taste of freedom. Totally contrary to the way it would seem. And then one begins to see, my God, this that is flowering, that is of such beauty, it really remains completely free. It is not only that it remains completely free, the recognition that it is who I am becomes more and more grounded, the more there is letting go of the habit of latching on based on conditioned fears. Everything without exception is under the wisdom of the beloved. When you know this all the way through, then you discover yourself. Humility recognizes it knows nothing when the living is living a life out of knowing nothing. Then there is true readiness. And then the war is over. Then the taste is the taste of what is, and what is always the same, and it has never known suffering, nor time, nor change. And out of this, the true benevolence of the manifestation of the Divine Mother which lives in the womb of pure love, then it is only this that flowers. While there is the very clear recognition that the reflection of suffering, meaning the representation of separation when forgetting occurs, you can feel the necessary role that it plays. To raise above the play of polar opposites. There is nothing that can take your happiness. It is only you that can deceive yourself.
If the material presented here resonates with you, and you would like to attend a satsang in person, or have an opportunity for personalized one-on-one interactions with Devaji, please visit us online at www.devaji.org. There you can visit our calendar and events pages. Thank you.